Hey, welcome, Nurse Outside the Box, on episode 34 already with a phenomenal nurse outside the box. Stacie Ford is here with us today from Integrative Wellness Consultants. Welcome, Stacie. It's so awesome to have
Hi,
you.
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing really good. And to
Good.
all our listeners who are coming in, if you know Stacie, just give us a comment down below. Okay, let's start at first. I'm going to just introduce Stacie real quick with some of her experience, Stacie, and then I would love for you to talk about why you are a nurse outside the box. But you call yourself an integrative wellness consultant, 20
Yes.
years plus experience in ranging from ED to ICU, lots of
Yeah.
nursing experience. But I love your own personal journey into holistic and Ayurvedic medicine and health, right? For stress management, depression, and pain. That
Yeah.
happened 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And then you start teaching with high-ranking Buddhist, Ayurvedic doctors and healers and yoginis.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow. It's
What
amazing.
a
So
drastic difference, right?
yes, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So what makes you a nurse outside the box? Would love to talk about that first. What makes you a nurse?
Well, because I am not doing what we are traditionally taught to do as nurses. Like you said before, I have over 20 years experience in healthcare, and I started from a nurse's aide and I worked myself up, went back to school, became a nurse, so on and so forth. And I was one of those nurses that just thought, I would either be at the bedside or I would be in management. And I had people who pushed me towards management for years, and I was like, no, that's not me. I always thought I would stay at the bedside because I just love that one-on-one interaction with my patients, with their families. Seeing the difference that I was making was very important for me. And so now, being an integrative wellness nurse consultant, that's way on the other side of the spectrum because it's like, I've taken all of this education, all of my expertise as a nurse, all of my ability to be able to be there in people in their best and their worst time. And I've gone another route with this. I've gone to where I'm not physically doing the healing. I'm emotionally and I'm mentally doing the healing. And so actually it combines what I did before and what I do now, and it marries them two together. So I'm helping treat them mind, body, and spirit. And so when you marry all three, you get an
Yes,
amazing outcome.
totally. And I'm totally so there with you. I love that we have another nurse who's doing this. I'm like, yes.
Yes.
I am curious though, because going from the ED, right, emergency department, ICU, my goodness, how did that change come about for you? That must have been such a change.
Well, so I, again, my last job working in bedside was in ICU, and I just got totally burned out, and I just never thought that would just happen. I just knew, like I said, I just knew I always saw myself being at that bedside, and sometimes things change, and I ended up going to a desk position because I thought I just needed a break. I didn't want to be that nurse that just started to be like, pull my hair out kind of thing. And I went to a desk job, and I was like, no, this still isn't for me. But in the meantime, in between time, my personal life was changing. I was stressed out again from being at the bedside and was just completely burnt out. And I was looking for something to help me with the stress.
Can you
And
tell us a little
so,
bit more about that burned out before we jump into that? What
oh,
what was that like?
what
Tell us
that
about that.
burnout looks like, oh my gosh, the burnout looks like, I don't want to be here. The burnout looks like, I need a mental health day. The burnout looks like, okay, I used to just love to come to work, and now it's just I'm finding myself having anxiety about being at work. Again, because I was working in a medical ICU, and so I was seeing all kinds of patients. I was seeing neuro patients. I was seeing open heart patients. I was seeing renal patients. I mean, a plethora of things. And during that time, there was a lot of changeover happening in my particular unit. And so, you know how that goes. We're working short. And in ICU, that's like you know, you're already with these very critical patients, and now you go from having a couple patients to more patients than you can have. And it just got to be to the point where I was stressed, because again, it was just like, I don't feel like I can give these people the amount of attention that I like to give them, because I'm just overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. And I just got to that point. I remember I would come home from mornings. I worked nights, and I would come home some mornings and I would just cry. I would just cry. And it was just, you know, I would give all there, and then I would come home and I would have nothing to give to myself. And it was at that time I'm like, okay, I can't be everything for them. And then when I'm, you know, I'm supposed to be mom and wife and me at home, I'm burned out. I don't even want to do anything. And so I said, I have to do something about this. The stress is not, it's not working for me. And so I began to go into meditation, which is something that a lot of people, you know, you want to do it, but you're not really sure you know how, and, you know, am I doing it right? And, you know, I can't be, because I'm not getting all this enlightenment, and, you know, and this, and I still feel the same, but I stuck it out. And they say when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I found two amazing teachers that taught me traditional Eastern traditions. I learned some Hindu, I learned some Tibetan practices. I learned a little bit of everything. And that was really, for me, a huge transformation. I started to see a difference in how I managed my stress. I was a lot more calm. I was a lot more patient. I was just a different person. And I just, again, I was doing it for my own personal reasons. And I thought, oh, this is really cool. And I started teaching some of the practices to my family. My relationship with my spouse was better. Just things were just moving a lot easier. No, life would happen. That's the thing about meditation. I want people to think you just, nothing ever happens and you're absolutely happy all the time. No, it just teaches you how to be in that moment, and how to progress, and how to not necessarily do anything, but just be okay with things and not feel the need to have to fix things. And when you get to that point and it's not this tug of war anymore, that's very enlightening. And so
Can I ask you why you were doing that? I'm curious, what nudged you towards doing specific meditation? Was that a person?
I have been reading about it. I had been reading about it for years, off and on. It was something that I wanted to practice. But like I said, every time I tried, I didn't know what I was doing. And I was like, I don't know. And I'd even gone to, I did yoga for some years. I did Bikram yoga for a while. And just in going into meditation, the teachers that I would go into yoga practice with, they would do a little bit of meditation. So I was always curious about it. And so I remember that always sticking out to me, that it was good for stress relief, and it was good for anxiety. And that's what I was experiencing. And even though I'm a nurse, I was hell-bent on not taking any type of medication for that. So
no, we get that.
I wanted to do something natural and holistic. And so I began practicing myself, and then that furthered my curiosity and my wanting to know more. And so then I went and I got trained in mindfulness, because that's more of a marrying the two together. And I just went on from there. I just went more into the holistic practices, because I personally had a testimony of what it was doing for me.
Right. So I'm curious, how then did you make the shift to what you're doing right now? Because you could have easily said, okay, I have this meditation, right? I'll go back into my the ICU or things like that. What made you shift?
So that actually wasn't a choice I really made on my own. I started talking to some nursing friends who I had kept up with from ICU, that were burned out and stressed out and wanting to know what I was doing. And I started giving them little tips. just little stress relief tips. And one of my girlfriends, I talked to her a couple, maybe like 4 weeks or so after I gave her a tip, just kind of checking in, seeing how she was doing. I think she was getting ready to have her first son. And so I was, is the baby here and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh yeah, the baby's here, but I need to talk to you about this. Those tips that you gave me, oh my God, girl. Like, I've been telling everybody on the unit, I had one of the nights from hell is what she said. And I like had to go in the bathroom and cry. And she said, and then I remembered some of those breathing tips you gave me, and I started doing them, and I immediately felt like everything just released.
Nice.
And I said, oh, cool. And she says, no, like, I've been doing this all the time now, so you need to start telling other people about this. And I was like, okay. And again, I still wasn't thinking from a standpoint of making this into a career. And she actually had another old work friend, text me. She was a respiratory therapist. And it tickled me because she says, all I know about breathing, why didn't I know about this? I've been taught everything about breathing, but I didn't know it could like have this effect. And I was like, yeah. And so they were just like tag teaming me, and they were like, you need to start like teaching this. You need to see if you can like come to the hospital and teach this, because this is like helping us a lot. And so I got in contact with one of the old unit managers, and I was just like, hey, if you want, I can just kind of like give this as a tool to nurses to kind of help them out. And I did that, and my husband's like, you might want to just go a little bit further than that. You may want to make this a professional thing. And I was like, I guess. Well, then I was kind of forced into it because, again, I was kind of doing it as just something on the side just to kind of help people, like I said. And I ended up getting a neck injury, a pinched nerve, and that took me completely out of the game. I am still healing from it to this day. I had surgery in the earlier part of the year. But so then I had to sit down, and, that's when meditation practices really kicked in, because my mind was just like, okay, what's next? Like, I don't know am I going to be able to go back to work? What am I going to be able to do? What can I do? Because I was going through a lot of pain management. I was doing physical therapy and all these things. And then that's when my meditation kicked into overdrive, because I needed that mindset to help me and assist me with my chronic pain, because I was experiencing chronic pain. And so, again, I'm a nurse, but I was like, I don't want all these pain meds. I was prescribed everything under the book in the kitchen sink. I mean, I was Norco, you name it. My doctor's like, here, because my pain was just crazy. And so I started off with the pain meds, eventually started to taper myself off of them with the help of meditation and being able to balance my thoughts and balance my emotions to where I could sit with the pain. And so, not that it wasn't there, but just learning how to be with it. And so I said, okay, well, maybe this is my cue that it's time to do something else, because I mean, like I said, I had surgery and all that type of stuff, and I still wasn't getting any better. So I decided to go ahead and look into making something that I absolutely love, into my business. And that's what I did.
I love it. I love that so much. I love that so much, right? And I think we sometimes forget that as nurses, we can really do that. We can take what we really love about caring for others, right? But in our own ways, and make that. So what do you do currently? I would love to hear a little more about what you're currently doing, who you're teaching right now with all of this. And what are you currently doing?
Well, right now, we're in COVID times, and my practice has really grown exponentially into helping the healthcare systems big time. I, as you and I both know, as any nurse listening to this podcast knows, we've always known that we are, very well needed, very much needed. We are the backbone. We are the care and healthcare. And I believe that now everybody else knows it more so now than ever. And our nurses and our healthcare systems are stressed and they're burned out. And so I am working with healthcare systems in schools. The schools have had to adjust with COVID. They don't know what a COVID, what this looks like. And a lot of children and instructors have experienced a lot of trauma. So I'm working with them with stress management and resilience management and training. And the same with the healthcare systems. I've got a few corporations under my belt as well, because they're all feeling the pinch of what's going on. You're having essential workers who are tired and they're burned out, and retention is just like, you know what I'm saying? And so you need something to give people a reason to be satisfied with their work, want to come to work, have tools to help them be able to deal with the high stress. And so now it's just like my work is needed. It's no longer a luxury. I know for years this type of wellness consulting and having a wellness coach and those kinds of things, those were considered a luxury. It's not a luxury anymore. It's a necessity. And in order for our kids and our instructors and educators to be able to maneuver during these times, they also need the assistance. So I saw the need in both sectors, and that's where I'm humping. That's where I'm busy.
That's where you're going. I love that.
Yeah.
What do you see in the future for yourself? Because you're right. 2020 has been a really crazy year already, right? Okay. What
I just
do you
see
see?
myself continuously helping people learn how to better manage their mental health. That's what this all boils down to. And we so desperately need it. We desperately need it. People are stressed, they're depressed, they're anxious. They don't know what anything looks like. Normal isn't normal anymore. And so I don't see what I do going away anytime soon. And I'm just grateful that I have something. I have tools and skills and a compassion and the drive to be able to deliver something to people that I wish I had 40 years ago. And I'm 40. So coming out the womb, I wish I had this.
Would have been nice. Well, you're right. And I love it that you're teaching kids as well, right? At least
Yeah.
through the school system, kids as well, because you're right, it's so needed. I'm curious, what if there's nurses who are listening right now and they are saying, wow, that sounds really interesting. I would love to know, how can they get in touch with you? And the other thing I would love to know is, what kind of tips would you have for nurses who are saying, this sounds really interesting, I might want to do something, right? Because we have a lot of nurses who could use this.
Oh yeah. Well, first I'll start with, if they want to get into this, look into holistic nursing. There are so many areas in holistic and wellness nursing. It just so happened that I had a personal practice of this for myself, and then I took what I already knew and I grew that. But that doesn't mean that you can't do this. There's wellness coaches, there's holistic nurse coaches, there's I believe there's a nurse nutritional coach. There's so many ways that you can get into this Ayurvedic practice if you're looking for that. There's so many different ways that you can expand what you know now and take it and do something else. If you're someone who wants to make a difference in a different way, go for it. I say go for it. Because again, like I said, these types of services, and I think also too, people are also leaning more into being more holistic, doing things more from a natural standpoint. So I say now's the time to go for it. Go for it. Go for what you know. And if you want to get in contact with me, excuse me, my website is illuminatedwellnesshc.com. And I'm also on LinkedIn, Stacie Ford. On LinkedIn, we have Illuminated Wellness Consultants LinkedIn page. And then I'm on Instagram, I Illuminate Wellness HC.
Nice. Nice, lots of, and we'll make sure we'll put those comments and those handles in the in the bottom, right, when people would comment. So as we're putting this out on social media, if you have any questions for Stacie, please put them also down below, and we'll, as we're putting this out, she can answer those as well. And
and I'll leave my email address as well. I'm so sorry.
Yes,
my
totally.
email is Stacie, Stacie.Ford at illuminatedwellnesshc.com. So they can also email me if they have any questions as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. So we'll put all that in, and they can contact you, because I think you're doing something that's pretty unique. And I think the whole idea of nurse entrepreneurship is coming out more strongly, right? But it's still very much at the beginning stages. So I love what you're doing. I kind of want to end, because you have such a heart for nurses as well. So any nurses who are listening, who are saying, okay, I want to stay where I am right now, right? I don't want to necessarily step into nurse entrepreneurship, because we have lots of nurses needed at the bedside as well, right? So, yes, totally. So I would love for you to kind of maybe see if you have a tip for them or idea for them, what they can do when they come into these very stressful situations, right? And what they can do. I'd love to kind of hear that from you.
Absolutely. As I said, the respiratory therapist mentioned to me, I know all about breathing, and I never knew about this. And I'm like, yeah, breathing can take you many places. But one of my favorite tips is a grounding tip that I like to use for breathing. And what you do is you just kind of, wherever you can do it, wherever you are. You can do it standing, you can do it sitting, laying down, wherever. Just find a quiet place for a moment and just take a couple deep breaths. And when I say deep breaths, just deeply inhale and hold it for a few seconds and let a long exhale out. And as you're doing that, imagine whatever tension is in your body leaving with that breath. And so what you're doing is you're actually, nurses, you're activating the parasympathetic system when you're doing that, that limbic system, and that helps you in regulating your emotions. So we didn't really know that the activation of the breath could really activate our limbic system and actually get us to kind of like calm down and see things from a different perspective. But that's just a quick tip. Works for me every time.
Love it. Thank you so much, Stacie. And thank you. Even as you were talking about it, I felt like, oh, I can relax a little more. So you have a beautiful voice for it as well. So I love it. So yes, thank you again so much, guys. If anybody's listening to this, please share this with another nurse who needs to hear it, either the entrepreneurial or really just that breath, right? Just those simple breaths. I think would make a world of difference. So good luck to you. And I think you're phenomenal in what you're doing right now. And yeah, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Bless
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.